Welcome to the 8th episode of the PAYROLL Podcast. The topic of today's episode is Smart HR, how AI enables better decisions. Today we are looking across the border to Belgium, more precisely to Antwerp, to the headquarters of SD Works. Our topic today is AI in the field of human resources. How far has the development progressed internationally? How can AI support HR in making smart decisions? We are also talking about data protection, the impact on HR employees, and compliance with the EU AI Act. I would like to welcome today Jürgen de Jonget. Jürgen is Portfolio Manager Group Data at SD Works and internally, if it's so-called Mr. AI. That's what I heard very often. SD Works is an international payroll provider and HR provider with around 90,000 customers in around 150 countries and 70 years of experience in payroll and human resources. So, good morning, Jürgen.
Good morning, Sabine. That was quite a mouthful.
So before we start and come to you personally and introduce you personally, I would like to tell you a quote of Stephen Hawking, the great scientist. Success in creating effective AI could be the biggest event in history of our civilization or the worst. We just don't know. This was his quote he has done in 2017. So only 7 years ago, and today AI is reality. I think he wouldn't think that it's getting that quick. What do you personally think about AI? Is it and its rapid development? Is it a curse or a blessing, a risk or a game changer, in your opinion?
Well, it's many of those. For sure, it's a risk. I'm a positive thinker, so I see the possibilities. I never thought that within my lifetime I would have seen this evolution. I'm very surprised actually to see how quick the evolution is the last, let's say, 2-3 years in this field. In 2024, we see almost every week groundbreaking new developments in this area. It's really astonishing. So a very, very special time to live in, and for sure it will create a different future with AI than it was before AI. That's for sure. There is, of course, also a degree of hype. We should realize that as well. Not all expectations will come true, most probably, but still the possibilities of AI and what it will become to us in the future, I think, is very, very significant.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's so quick that it's overwhelming. Yeah, it's you don't know what to do first or what possibilities you have. So maybe next year we even further. So let's see. Okay, so you see the positive side more than the, let's say, the risk side currently.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's my nature. I cannot predict how it will play out, of course.
We know, so it's a good thing you're talking about predictions. This is also a topic today. It's your job, actually. Is it correct? It's part of your job.
It's part of my job. Yes, indeed.
Yes. So predictions and having this kind of making predictions in the future with AI and also making them support people in making decisions upon this kind of data. Correct?
Indeed.
Okay, so about yourself, you have been working in the field of data and intelligent analysis and predictions for over 20 years now, correct? Or longer?
Well, it for a long time it was part of my job.
Time.
Yes.
So before SD Works, you were a so-called BI engineer, a business intelligence engineer at Volvo Truck. You said? Yes.
Volvo Truck Company.
Yes. And part of your job was prediction of car breakdowns. So
yeah, well, and the vehicles that could break or would break down, they were a significant cost to the company. I think for any production company, whether it's cars or trucks or something else, the warranty service that a production company gives to its customers, that's a certain cost. Certainly when you talk about trucks, those costs are significant. So the provisions that the producer has to set apart to make sure that these costs for future repairs can be paid for, they are very significant. You can imagine so many thousand euros for each truck. If you build 100,000 trucks at that point in time each year, those are very huge amounts. So any impact you can have on those repairs on the positive side immediately has a very positive impact on your overall profits of your company.
Okay.
So, and what the special thing about that case, why I still like to remember that one as a good example of AI, because at that time we were not calling it AI, we were calling it data mining.
Yeah.
We've had several names for the same principles.
Mm.
And in many cases, when you want to do any investment in a predictive solution, it's always difficult to know upfront whether it will pay back. I mean, you are spending money to create whatever system that will tell you something about the future, but you never know how good it will be. So there's quite a risk in such an investment. Now, in that case, for Volvo Trucks, what our provider was capable of doing is by taking data from the past, not last year, but 2-3 years back in time, and running their algorithms on top of it, they could actually predict which kinds of breakdowns would happen. And we already knew if they happened or not because we gave data from 2 or 3 years back. So we could see indeed whether these predictions were true or not. And so they were, in many cases, they were true. So, and if Volvo can do preventive maintenance, repair a part before it breaks down,
Oh,
so that no other parts are broken down in
okay.
the same.
So total crash would be
Yeah,
avoided.
a total crash is extreme. But you can imagine if one part breaks down, there are some depending parts that also break down. And also the service is bad for the customer because that means that the vehicle is not available at that point in time. By knowing what will happen up front and by anticipating that, you really get a tremendous saving. And the nice thing about that case, and it's a case of the early 2000s, so it's like 20 years ago. But the nice thing there was that we could know upfront what the benefit would be of investing in such a system, which was a rare case. In most cases, you don't know.
Okay, and how accurate were those predictions?
Well, those figures I don't remember, but I do remember that the high costs of investing in such a predictive system were still much lower than the benefits that the company could make.
Okay.
So just looking at how many euros or Swedish crowns, when talking about Volvo, we could save by anticipating repairs and doing them in a preventive manner, were a lot higher than the high costs of these predictive systems at that point in time. So that was still a nice example. And knowing it happened 20 years ago, we should realize that AI is not something that happened yesterday. AI exists for quite a long time.
Yeah. This is would be my next question actually. There are so many terms flying around, BI and data mining, big data, and this is the basis for those smart systems are always data, yeah. And you currently use AI in your analytic systems, business intelligence, big data, and they were before AI, I would say, yeah. And and I asked really the ChatGPT, because I have no clue about it, and he and asked him what is the best in analyzing data, business intelligence, big data, or AI, and the chat said to me, it depends on what data and for what purpose. So
that's a very technical answer.
Yes, and it's not really clear. So, is the chat right? What do you think is what is so special, in AI, and is it the optimum currently?
Well, it does depend on what you want to do, of course. But where AI is different from traditional business intelligence techniques is that AI is capable of detecting patterns, of really seeing, rather than you having to search for relationships and how one aspect is influencing another, that you would have to search for that in a traditional BI solution. With
Mm.
AI, you can find these patterns, and
Mhm.
understanding the patterns allows you also to work with them, to anticipate on them, and to make better decisions. Also, one of the things that these large language models, which is just one flavor of AI, can do is they can reason. They can reason about data, and they can provide you with a synthesis of, okay, there's a whole pile of data, but what should you remember from it? What are the important
Mm.
things that this data is telling you? And those are features that traditional BI techniques wouldn't been able to do, where AI steps in and raises that value. So understanding patterns, also trying to make predictions of what will happen.
Mm.
These are capabilities of AI. Now, I don't think it's either AI or BI or any of these other hype words. It will always be a combination. It will start with
Mm.
collecting the right data, making
Yes.
sure you have qualitative data, which is always a
Mm.
challenge, and
Yes.
then applying the right techniques for the right purpose. Now, one thing that I believe is very important is that none of these are a goal in their own. The goal is always to do better HR. The goal is to
Mm.
take better decisions, to make sure that you can hire the right people, etc. And so they are a means to a goal, and you should apply those means when they are applicable.
Mm. 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 Okay. Okay. So now you said HR. This is also a good point for the next question. Um, so your job now at ISTI Works is working on now a long time, with intelligent data analysis for HR data, payroll data, and making anticipations and predictions or as a basis for HR to support HR for making decisions. So what we just said, so can you maybe give, for our listeners, can you give him maybe two examples? What can we, yeah, what is that? What do you do?
To make it tangible,
Yes.
so to speak. Yeah.
Yes.
So my role as a portfolio manager, I'm looking at how we can actually apply these techniques and these technologies in favor of our customers. It could be
Mm.
either with services or products that we can offer to our customers to make sure that they can do a better HR job than they would be before. Now, the promise of AI is that they can predict the outcome of certain decisions. That's the promise. If I would introduce flexible working hours, how would that change the turnover in my company? Now,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't
Mm.
seen those cases where you could actually predict what the outcome of a certain decision would be. But that's the promise. Now, what I do see is that in much more operational processes, AI is already entering. So I've seen a nice case with a French customer where they could actually know upfront how many people they had to hire in which regions because of the work that would be coming at that point in time. So by
Mm-hmm.
predicting workload at a certain point in time, which involves a lot more data than only your HR data, of course, they could actually do hiring upfront. So they didn't have to hire when they already were too late with it. Another case is where you can operationally optimize planning. Where AI can actually help in that. So I see a lot more cases where AI is helping in an operational process rather than
Mm.
in a decision-making process. But this is really the goal that data analytics is working towards it, to make sure that you collect the right data, allowing you to understand correlations and support better decision making. Uh,
Mm.
but looking at where AI is currently adding the most value, what I'm just seeing, what I'm witnessing, is in the more operational processes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how many people do I have to recruit for the future when the workload is or the or we raising turnover to whatever
Yeah,
20%?
for
Yeah.
example, yeah, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's not using it's not used for maybe workforce reduction in, it could be the other way around as well.
Yeah, that's a question you will ask for any new technology. So any new
Yes.
technology has the risk of reducing workforce. It can be seen as a cost saving. We've seen that with many technological evolutions. The difference with AI, though, is that traditionally you saw that new technologies, they were first challenging the the blue collar workers before they challenged white collar work, and only later on the creative work was actually challenged. With AI, it's actually the other way around. That's a strange thing to witness. We see that creative workers are first challenged of being replaced by AI before the white collars, and only later on blue collars might also get in view. Now, an answer you get for many of these technologies, and the same will go here, is that we will not see people's job being replaced by AI, but you will see that people might be replaced by other people that know how to use AI. And that's a statement you can hear also for other technologies that have been introduced in the past, and we will see that over here as well. So that's my belief as well, and jobs will change. And to be honest, we don't know yet how extensively they will change. In some areas, they will significantly change, and we will also see a lot of new jobs.
So if you stop, if you stop learning and going with the flow, and working with AI, refuse working with AI. If you do that, you maybe lose a job.
For sure. I mean, it's like, if I remember the time when there was no email. I'm that old actually to remember the time when there was no email.
I know that as well.
Yes. And I remember coming back from a conference when I said to my boss, if we don't have email anymore, we don't exist. And so today, it's obvious that if you want to communicate within and outside of your company, email is such a logical technology. We use it every day. It's electricity coming out of the socket. We don't think about it. And AI will also take such a place in the future, where it's a natural technology that you will be able to use.
Yes. Okay. Good. What tools do you provide to clients to use this kind of technique, making smart decisions via smart predictions? So what tools are you offering?
Yeah, right now we are not selling AI as a product in itself. What we are doing right now is more applying AI techniques within existing technology, within existing products and services. We have several examples of those, and obviously many more will come. There are many things we are working on right now. The things we are already offering today are an example is an optimized planning system where customers can use AI to see, okay, how can we actually compile a team of people for the next shift so that we have all bases covered, so that people are not working too much, too many night shifts in a row or whatever. And for doing such a quite complicated process, we have AI technology that supports our customers that have those challenges. That's one example. Another example that's easy to understand is where we have some processes where HR staff has to validate certain documents and certificates that they receive from their employees to validate certain benefits, etc. So we have AI assisting with that, so that if these documents are sent to HR, the validation of those documents can be done automatically. You could say it's a stupid job in that sense that, it's a very repetitive job. You couldn't automate it without AI, but using AI, you can actually do these validations easily. So that's also, it's a very down-to-earth example, but that works quite well. Within the data area, we have our Insights Cloud solution, which is really a data platform that customers can use also for doing AI on top of it. I think that's a very strong offering. Also recognizing the fact that the more data you have, the better predictions and correlations you can find. And typically, a customer will want to include more data than only the HR data. HR is not an island. You will have to combine information from HR with perhaps information on production, on workload, on tickets to customers, etc. So if you want to do that as a customer, you need a platform that's capable of doing that. And I think Insights Cloud is a good solution for that. Other examples, very simple things like expense note parsing. If an employee registers an expense, they typically have to take a picture or a scan of the ticket, like if they have a restaurant cost or a parking ticket or whatever. With AI, this picture can be automatically interpreted. It can read the amount, the date. It can understand the difference between a public transport cost or a restaurant ticket or something else. And so these are quite easy ways of helping users and customers in their administration. So you see it's a very operational step where AI is already benefiting.
May
Translations
I
are also good
summarize?
examples.
It's mostly at the moment automation of like boring processes, and that people have more time for more would say upgrade work, and also in parts if you're as client you're agreeing to mix data or you combine data, you can have realistic predictions.
Yes, I think the what you call the boring processes, those are things we can automate across many customers. And so that's for SD Works. It's important to invest in these solutions and apply AI technology while making better decisions and combining data. In many cases, this is very customer specific. Every business is different. Every company is different. They have different data, very importantly. So we have to provide platforms so they can do, and that's not the boring stuff, to be honest. That's very exciting stuff to do.
Yeah. Now I'm just looking at the boring processes, which is like getting this documents, putting into system per hand. This is something for me. This is a boring process.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And we have been automating boring processes for many times. I mean, this is not new, but what you see is that by applying AI technology, many more processes that in the past couldn't be automated now can be automated as well.
Yeah. You you just told me that most of your data are or your tools are in the cloud. Yeah. So we saw a few weeks ago we saw the problem with cloud technique. Yeah. So and HR data and everything is really tricky, risky. So is it? Do you think it's safe cloud systems or?
Well, I don't think cloud systems are different from other systems. They can be hacked as other systems can be hacked. I think the advantage of cloud systems is that a lot more attention can be given to protecting them. Because rather than every company having to build their own walls around their data, you can have specialized companies taking care of that. Now,
maybe not only one, yeah.
yeah, indeed. That's what we've seen in the past. With this problem with this single company that caused a lot of troubles. But I think what we've seen is, first of all, the cloud doesn't mean it's safe by default. It also doesn't mean it's unsafe by default. You have to look at which cloud providers to choose, which is also something that we did elaborately. What we also see our customers are doing. Some customers are very severe into scrutinizing how SD Works is working before they move forward and start working with us, because they want to be sure that we process the data in a safe manner. So that's one thing you should be doing. And of course, once you have good solutions, you still have to make sure that you apply good safety measures. What we see in many cases is that the weakest link actually is the human. If people are not careful with their passwords, and if they don't set up multi-factor authentication, they can be breached. One of the technologies that we like using is Snowflake. There was a breach of Snowflake some months ago. Luckily, SDWorks was not involved, and we have applied multi-factor everywhere we can, so we were safe. But there, if you look at what happened, well, some companies got breached. Their data was stolen because some users didn't use multi-factor authentication, and
Oh,
their
wow.
passwords were stolen.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you see that security is really an issue. With or without cloud, it's something you have to be careful about. And yeah, it's important that there's a high degree of awareness within the
Yes. Yeah.
staff
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
careful with
Right.
that.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Regarding data protection as well, so artificial intelligence needs data, and namely your client's data, in order to deliver the results. Um, in my last episode, I talked to Uwe Klappich for the German area, and he said, okay, in Germany, the clients are usually pretty sensitive to data protection, and the clients are not so, open to give their data to for, processing. In You are working in an international or European area, and you are a bit ahead of your development in this kind of area than Uwe Klappich. So why are you more successful in developing AI techniques than Uwe Klappich in Germany?
Well, first of all, I think that the sensitivity for data privacy is not only in Germany. There are
Okay.
more companies also when I'm working in the Netherlands, for example. I see there is a very high sensitivity towards data privacy, which I think is a good thing. I
Mm,
mean, you should be very careful with that, as long as it's a true concern about privacy. Privacy shouldn't be
mm,
used as an excuse to prevent certain advancements, but privacy is a very important asset to protect. Now, also when using data for AI, we really have to make the difference between training large language models, and a lot of information in the news is about these large language models using data that they shouldn't have used or they don't have the
that's
rights.
ChatGPT. That's a
For
large language
example, yeah,
model. Yes.
indeed.
Mm,
So that's not what we are doing. We are not training
mm,
large language models. We are using existing and many different existing large language models. But what we do use is numerical data, metrics. And one of the advantages that we had in Belgium from a few decades ago already, we introduced the fact that customers could allow to use their data anonymously to calculate benchmarks. So what
mm,
we did already, I think it's as long as I remember, so it's more than 20 years ago already. Within our contracts with customers, we asked if they would agree that their data could be used anonymously to calculate
okay.
benchmarks
Mm-hmm.
and do other statistical work with it. Most of our customers agree to that. Not all. Some customers
Mm-hmm.
don't want it, and then
Okay.
we don't use their data, and we are very strict in that. But since many customers do that, and we have such a wide customer base, this allows us actually to provide insights back to our customers on whether their turnover is more than average or not, whether their
Mm,
absence rates are higher or below the average, etc. And these kinds of information, they are very valuable to our customers because then they know. I remember a case where a customer was planning to do a whole program on absence and reducing the absence. And then when he compared the absence metrics with the average within his industry, he saw he was
mm,
already below the average. So
mm-hmm.
that gives you the indication, okay, what margin of improvement should I expect if I do large programs? And that
Mm-hmm.
customer decided to switch to other areas for his strategic
Mm-hmm.
HR management.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there you see that using HR data to provide insights even before, because this was an application of data without using AI, this was benchmarking, can be very beneficial. While still protecting data privacy. I mean, we when we do these aggregations and these benchmark calculations, we make sure that the buckets are wide enough so that what you don't want is that one organization can find the metrics of his competitor. You never
Yeah,
want that.
sure.
But
Yeah.
given the number of data points
Mm,
we have, we can quite easily anonymize them in such a way that there is no data privacy violation,
mm,
but still
mm,
that the data is providing value back to the
mm,
customers. And that's what
yeah,
we have been doing in the last 20 years. We couldn't do that in all the countries. In some countries,
yeah,
customers
yeah,
don't agree with it, and then we cannot offer that service.
yeah, yeah, sure. But this is a reason you have to apply the GDPR also in
Of
your
course, of
company. So
course,
it's,
of
but
course.
you had this kind of, in the beginning you had this kind of, yeah, sentence in your contracts for clients, and either clients
Accept it or
agreed
not.
to processing anonymously your data or not. So that's why this is your database currently you're using.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
indeed,
yeah.
indeed. Yeah.
Okay. So the European AI Act came into force 1st of August. So and it is the first AI law worldwide that regulates the use of AI. This is, yeah, really special. The Act sets high standards and restrictions on the use of data in AI applications, and with HR data in particular, being a high risk area, what you working in. So how does the AI Act influence your further development currently? Is it a burden? Is it, you think it's
I think it's
necessary?
It's positive because now it provides guardrails, it provides a framework to see what can we do and what we cannot do. What I also see is that this AI Act is widely applauded upon, even beyond Europe.
Mm.
Sam Altman, the
Mm.
president of OpenAI, he also
Yeah.
says, okay, it's a good thing what Europe has done.
Oh, okay.
It's not like they think this is limiting them in their possibilities. It's more like, okay, everybody agrees that there are real risks if we would go unlimited with this technology. And so if we want to protect our basic values, if we want to protect the rights of minorities, even democracy, then we have
Mm.
to make sure that we have these guardrails. And by
Mm.
making clear what the guardrails are, it's also clear to everybody what we can or what we shouldn't be doing. And that's a positive thing. Now, also in our company, we are also still learning in that fact. It's a very new regulation. We have been working with it already. We didn't start on August 1st, obviously,
Yeah.
with it. And what I see is that in some cases, I see that our data privacy team is very restrictive in implementing these rules. So I think there are still cases where we will have to see, okay, where are those boundaries? But this framework really provides us with the guardrails that we need.
Mm.
I remember one case. I talked about these parsing of expense notes, where a picture of an expense note is interpreted by an
Mm.
AI. When we wanted to train our model and we had done some proof of concepts on that, our privacy department said, okay, you cannot do that with the expense notes that customers sent in the past, even if we anonymize them. It's just a picture where you see, okay, a parking ticket of €2. To me, this was strange. I didn't see how that was actually limiting or putting privacy in danger.
Mm.
So those are cases where I think we still have to search, okay, what is the right limit to set
Mm.
on what you can do, what you cannot do. But on the other way around, if you are going as a company hire or fire people based on a judgment of AI, I mean, it's clear
Mm.
for everybody that you should be very careful with that kind of applications.
Mm.
And they are real, because I remember when I was hiring people at the time, I knew that the distance to work from home, the travel distance, was a very important factor. If people had to travel a long time, they might want to be doing that for a short while, but in the end, it's becoming a burden. So I knew that people that had a long travel time to the office was a high risk. And sometimes as a
A high
manager,
risk of leaving the company soon.
yes,
Yes.
so if you do the
Okay.
investment of onboarding
Mm.
somebody, training somebody, and if they
Mm.
would leave within 1 or 2 years, yeah,
Mm.
that's a pity. If the reason would only have been the travel distance and the
Mm.
travel time, but and as a manager, I could take those decisions, and if I had two good candidates, I would favor a candidate that was living closer by. Now, once you start applying AI in your hiring processes, you really have to be careful on the decisions
Mm.
that these AI systems will be making. The best
Mm.
thing I think you can do is provide transparency to make sure that it's visible, that it's
Yeah, yeah. I
shown.
mean, this is now the next point you striving. Yeah, this is the point of ethics in how much what in HR is an area that has a lot to do with people. What you say is the recruiting process. Yeah, employees do want to know who is making decisions about the future and what basis. Yeah, is it the AI or is it the line manager who's is making the decisions, or the line manager on which basis? Yeah. um, so in your opinion, you said something already. How can companies ensure that the decisions supported by AI in HR are ethical and at the same time protect the interests of both employees and the company? It's the point of what you say, recruitment.
Mhm.
It's the point of firing. Yeah, I see also the point of who is responsible for this decision. Is it more easy maybe to blame the AI for making the decision? Yeah, I mean, blaming is a good thing, so it's not my fault. And also, what I see is, um, in Germany we have a strong works council. In companies with works councils, which who have are included in the decision making in who is recruited and especially who is fired. So
Mhm.
especially, I think this is, yeah, also a topic. So what do you think? As you said, transparency is a topic.
Yeah, I think
Ethical
it's.
guidelines,
Mhm.
maybe. Yeah.
Ethics will be a constant point of attention. I don't think you will ever be done with it. You will
Mm.
constantly have to guard it, monitor it to make sure that you act ethically.
Yes.
I'm convinced about that. Uh, Providing transparency, I think, is a key way of making sure you stay on the right part of the decision you can take. Um, so, and blaming technology for an unfavorable decision has happened all the time. I mean, if
Mm.
something went wrong, people could say, okay, the computer made a mistake. Yeah? I mean, we have seen that for many years, and it will also be blamed. AI will also be blamed for that. I think we will have to accept that it will happen.
It's so easy to blame
Yes,
somebody
and
else.
indeed, indeed. But what is important is that those judgments are still done by humans, even if humans get information from AI systems.
Mm.
Still, humans should take that decisions, and this is where the transparency is important. So, I mean, in the hiring process, if you have been hiring many people, you know how tedious it is to read all these curriculum vitae, to
Mm.
read all these letters from people. So having an AI that does a summarization on that is very helpful
Mm.
to know, okay, what people have been doing, if they have been working in a similar line of business or not. I mean, AI can help you with that, and I think that's fine. There's no problem in
Mm.
that. Also, I mean, as a human, if I take decisions, in the end, I try to make the right decisions for the right reasons. I'm sure that I don't want to be biased. In reality, probably I'm biased without even knowing it.
Mm.
So these are really ethical issues that will remain difficult. I don't think there's an easy solution to that. But if you start from the ground rules, that you don't want to be biased, that you want to make the right decisions for the company and for the people, and that AI is a means to help you with that, I mean, that's the best starting point that I can think of. And the last thing you want to do is that an AI system that has been trained on whatever data and just takes decisions like that on hiring and firing, this is not somewhere you want to go. This is, I don't think that's, and this is an easy example. There might be more subtle example cases where it's less easy to make the distinction.
Yeah, and in the end, it's also how you make decisions is a matter of experience. Is also a matter of feelings as well, gut feeling, whatever. Gut feeling is a mix of feelings and experience. Yeah, what you made in the past, and this is something what AI cannot do. I think this is in
Well,
the end,
indeed,
it's also.
if you look at making decisions using data and AI is only one of the pillars you can use, and you should use it, but not as your single pillar. There's also your own experience. There's also the experience of your stakeholders. There's
Yes.
also scientific research. So, I mean, if you make sure that you are not just only relying on AI to make these important decisions, then I think you are good. And so then AI becomes a means that you can help for the better, but it's not your sole solution that you can base your decisions on.
Okay, Jürgen. This was really, I think, really an interesting podcast episode. Yes.
I hope.
Of this. Yeah, really. Um, So, last and final question for closing the episode. Sam Altman also said, the founder of OpenAI said also, what I read is in 2025, people lose their jobs because of AI. He was founding a ground income for base income for people who lose their jobs. What do you think? What is your prediction for 2025? What do we see?
Well, that same Sam Altman also said, okay, we know that AI has or will have a significant impact, but we should also recognize the fact that it will take a bit longer. We should recognize that we are still in the hype stage. This is very true, and we have seen hype stages with other technologies in the past as well. So after the hype stage, there comes the disillusionment because we have expected so many things that not all of them will come true. And then you get to the platform of productivity, and we will see that with AI as well. The difference with AI compared to previous technologies is that it's so a big change. I mean, the evolution, the innovation is very, very significant. And sometimes I'm saying we're not just in a hype, we are in the hype squared because it's a hype on top of a hype. We had this invention of the attention mechanism in 2017, which was the basis for the GPT solutions we saw. And now we are evolving to intelligence as a service. And we cannot grasp the effects of that. This will be very significant, but 2025 is very early days.
Okay, good. So we don't lose our jobs completely in 2025 and need a base income.
No.
So let's see. But in what you also said is companies and people should get to know AI, the possibilities, and to learn.
For
Otherwise,
sure.
This is.
I mean, this is so obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
if you stick your head in the ground, for sure the world will move forward and you will be left behind. This is sure. This is not something to be scared about. You hear a lot of people and companies shouting around what they are doing. Everybody is learning and exploring in this stage. So that it's not too late to get started with it. You shouldn't be panicking about it either, but you should start using it.
Get started. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good final sentence for closing. And thank you really much for this really interesting interview, and hope to connect and see you soon.
My pleasure.
Okay, have
Good
a
luck
good
with the
day.
podcast. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.